Welcome back to Artsy-Island-Girl. So today, this is the card that we are going to make. Again, it was part of my Big Shot for Beginners class, and one of, oops, shouldn't have that sitting in there. One of the things that you can do when you are die cutting is you can die cut just half a die. So today I'm going to show you how to do that and then assemble this card. So the very first step, I've got my card base all ready to go. Now it's not a regular size card base because this particular die is not really for a standard size card. So I made a card base, so the measurements are based on this particular die here. So the very first step is we are going to take a pencil and a ruler, and this particular card is 5 inches wide. So I'm making a little mark at the 2.5 inch line at the top and also at the bottom. It always helps if you can actually read your ruler. It makes it a lot easier. So now I'm going to place my die on my card exactly how I want it die cut, and I'm trying to place it so that these bumps are on those marks that I just made. I'm going to take some low tack tape and I'm going to tape my die down. There we go. This particular part of the card is going to be cut right off, so if by chance this tape really wants to stick after I run it through my die cutting machine, it's going to be on a part of the card that is not important anyways, so I'm not too worried about it. So I'm going to open my card up, put it through the machine here, and this is where I should have marked the inside as well. So let's do that quickly. So 2.5 inches right there, and I do it with pencil so that if by chance that mark is visible after I've die cut, I can just erase it. And the reason I need that little pencil mark is I'm going to place so on my die here, it has a little bit of, it thins out at the end, but there is a part where you can see where it's the full thickness. So that part there, I'm going to put on those pencil marks. And then we are going to run it through the machine. Make sure that everything is straight before you start running it through the machine. There we go. I'm holding it in place. And then you'll feel your die cut machine start to catch, and you can run it through. So the other thing you could do as well is you could do it from here so that this end of the plate would go through first. The only thing to be aware of when you do that is sometimes it moves over slightly, which is not a huge deal, but just be aware of it. So sometimes you can have it move over slightly. So that's where that mark is, and that's where that mark is there. And it's just something that you want to accommodate for. All right, so let's move this out of the way. And then we can take our die off here. Now, even though I had these ends where those marks are, the card is just slightly bigger. So I'm going to take my pen or my scissors, and I'm just going to snip. Now we have half a die cut within our card. Now, there is some little bits in here that I'm going to use my little piercing tool to poke out. You could also use the piercing tool from the Spellbinder's tool-in-one. I will typically use my tool-in-one to remove all the little die cut bits out of my die, and I'll typically do it over top of a garbage can, but it makes super easy work out of taking all those bits out. Those ones are all out. I still have to get those ones, but so I'll typically do it right over a garbage can so I don't have a mess to clean up. But it doesn't work quite as well on paper simply because the paper is a lot more flexible. There we go. So now let's assemble our card. Let's move the die out of the way. I've got the rest of the bits for the card already cut. So I'm going to put a little piece of yellow on the inside just to highlight that die cut, because there's no point in doing all of this if you don't really see it. And you don't necessarily have to do this. I just like how it brings out the shape of the die. And I don't have it centered, I have it offset a little bit so that I can see that a little bit more. If you wanted, you could do a full piece here, but I like seeing a little bit of the base of the card in there. Now I'm going to, my glue is nearing the end, so sometimes it doesn't want to work. Now I'm going to add my oval in the center. This one is from that same oval set. And I'm gluing it with Distress Collage Medium. I like it because it has got a matte finish. And so if by chance anything squeezes out, it's going to dry completely clear and it's going to dry matte. So I'm coloring my die cuts with some inks and some blending brushes. I will write down below the colors that I'm using. You could use, say, markers or do this on watercolor paper and watercolor to color your bits and pieces, to color your die cuts. But I like using the blending brush and ink because you tend to get a bit of a natural darks and lights. And it just makes it look a little bit more interesting in my opinion. All right. Now we're going to glue it down. And I typically only put glue on the bits and pieces that are going to be sticking out. So leaves, petals of flowers, that sort of thing. There we go. And then I've got my little sentiment here. You can put whatever sentiment you want on there. I typically actually don't put sentiments on my cards until I'm actually ready to use them, just so that if by chance I need a thinking of you card and I have only birthday ones, I can just customize cards to fit when I need them. There we go. Now because I changed my base color with this one, I probably should have changed my sentiment to a different color. Like I think white would have shown up better and would have brought out the color of the daisy, but that's okay. And then last but not least, I'm going to add a little bit of Stickles to just add a touch of sparkle to the card. Now the great thing about Stickles is it's a glitter glue, but it's got a really, really fine tip to it. So you can get in really detailed areas. You can do really fine lines. And it's one of those things that, in my opinion, less is more. So I tend to do a little bit, just a little bit, just to add a touch of sparkle, but not over the top glitter. The one thing to keep in mind though, depending on how thick you make it, that's going to depend, or that's going to affect the drying time. And I am the type of person that if I have it anywhere near me, that is the first place I'm going to put my hand. So I definitely, once I've got something with wet Stickles on it, I put it somewhere where I actually can't reach it, or I leave the room till it's dry. So there is our card done. And there you are, 2 different card bases for the same card. Super simple, but nice quick card. So if you love this type of content, don't forget to hit subscribe and like, and we'll see you in the next video.